Well, we have Oskaloosa Mayor Dave Krutzfeldt, and you are seeking re-election for that position once again.
As mayor, yes. I'm finishing up my 12th year as mayor, and I want to keep it going for another 2 more years.
I was going to say, we have this opportunity to at least have a conversation, you and I, once every 2 years, and whether you like it or not, I guess, but we'll...
Always happy to.
Oskaloosa's faced some challenges. There's been some wins. There's been some other, like I say, ongoing challenges. Where do you see your position as being cheerleader, help steer, rudder the community? Because theoretically, Oskaloosa's mayor is mostly ceremonial and kind of, or that's the impression that's given. So let's talk about that a little bit.
The city of Oskaloosa is one of many communities that embraces what's called a weak mayor form of government. So you have a city council that's primarily responsible. The mayor is given the opportunity on a couple of occasions, very narrow ones, to be able to veto work that's been done by the council that can be overridden by the council, budgets being one of them. But for the most part, the mayor is also the chief executive officer, signing documents on behalf of the city, and then also steering the agenda and the meetings that take place of the full council. And so what I see my position as being is one of maintaining focus, that when the council is involved with something, we don't drift off and start finding ourselves in a more chaotic position. So staying focused, and then also having a little bit broader vision instead of just being in the weeds, being able to come up a little bit higher and start thinking about the strategic position that the city of Oskaloosa is in, and also what our goals and aspirations should be in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, so over those 12 years, and I know that you served on the city council before that, but over these past 12 years, how would you rate yourself in your job performance so far?
You know, I've never thought to do that. On any given day, I'm just doing the best I can. So I guess I'd throw a B to an A in the direction that we've had a number of opportunities come before us. Through the experience that I was bringing to the position, it gave me an opportunity to understand this is a good thing to do, or this is not a bad thing to do, or if something is a bad thing to do, avoid it. And so I've been blessed that way. But also, I guess I tend to think more in terms of a team. That while I'm part of, I guess I'm carrying one title and nobody else is mayor, but it's always in harmony with the way the city council is working. And with the city council then goes also the city manager and all the departments. It's the cohesion of that entire group that allows me to have some success and a little less heartburn than I could otherwise. So I'm thinking things are going pretty well. As I look around, I think I see enough progress that for the goals we've set, we're hitting them. Are there more to be done? Absolutely. I was disappointed when we had the census figures come in that Oskaloosa hadn't grown its population by at least another 1,000 more. So where I thought we were gaining population and I was feeling real good about it, no, we still have more work to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, so those numbers have come out for different cities, and some were, we got the yippee, and then they grew and they saw that progress, and then Oskaloosa didn't. Where do you think we stumbled that didn't happen for you?
Well, part of it is where we are in terms of this part of Iowa. That Mahaska County as a whole lost population, Oskaloosa gained. And so for folks who want to see the bright side of life, that was something to say, well, given what was going on, we did just fine. I guess where my biggest concerns are is that I've heard a lot of people say, well, I couldn't find the housing I was looking for, and so I moved to another community in order to work for an Oskaloosa employer. So I think that's where our biggest stumble is being able to get housing up and available for anybody who wants to move to town.
So one of those, it leads into a question of builders and developers have expressed concerns about working with the city of Oskaloosa. Moving forward, how would you bring those folks back to the table, even if they've been here forever? How do we address those and say, you know what, let me hold your hand, let's get this done? So how do we do this?
Well, a lot of it has to do with first understanding whatever the problems are that folks have had. If it's with previous building inspectors that have had an attitude, then we need to say, please come back and let's try it because we've got some new faces. If it's a situation with current, then I'm not familiar with whatever the specifics of that would be. And so I would be anxious to hear about those. And if it's something easy like interpretation, then that's fine. We can work with that. If there's something deeper that needs to be dealt with, something culturally wrong, then by all means, I'm very interested in getting that fixed.
Okay, so I was going to say there's a lot of change coming for the city of Oskaloosa as far as leadership. New city manager, new fire chief. I think there's some of those opportunities for folks to have a voice maybe about the direction they would like to see Oskaloosa, particularly folks such as yourself and incoming council members. How closely are you going to work with those candidates that on paper seem to be that they're going to be the next council members and the current city council to fill those positions and point Oskaloosa forward?
Well, the strength of Oskaloosa comes from the involvement of the people in it. And so on the boards and commissions, we have concerned citizens that step up and handle some of the harder decisions as to what about the historic preservation, what about our building codes, what about planning and zoning. And so we have talented individuals that I appoint into those positions. As far as the existing city council members, they have an obligation along with me to educate the new council members that come on. Here is the background of what you're seeing. And so if you're wanting to make a change, it's always good to understand how we got to where we are first. And so frequently, the first year as a council member is one of just a lot of learning and getting used to the faces and the procedures that we go through and the ordinances. Now, we've got a new city manager that we're going to be recruiting, and one of the plans with that is that we want to get the city manager in, but we also want to give him or her as much room as they need to get comfortable with the staff. And so things like hiring the fire chief or some of the other positions within, if he has something in mind for what he wants his team to be like, this is an opportunity for that person, male or female, to be able to make those decisions. So what I see my position as being is one of being able to say, welcome aboard. And as we get into this, people are going to be demanding right off the top, and it's a fair thing. I'm not in the habit of saying, I'm new to this, please bear with me as I learn. No, I'll learn just as fast as it takes to be able to satisfy the public.
Okay, so when you guys are developing a comprehensive plan, could you tell us what your involvement with that is, and what a mayor, do you provide your vision? I mean, those kinds of things for something like that.
Yeah, the beauty of the comprehensive plan is that it is a commission and it's a committee that's going to be working together. The mayor has a fairly significant voice in that. I'm fortunate that I was involved with the last comprehensive plan 20 years ago. And so I've been through it before where you're saying, okay, what is it we want our city to look like? What's it going to feel like? What are the primary concerns that we have as far as what the culture should be and the message that people take as they visit our city or live in it? And so my position in that is going to be one of just contributing with everybody else, listening to the fresh ideas that get presented, as well as explaining some of the reasons for why we do some of the things we do for commission members who haven't been through this before.
So what are we going to look for from you as mayor? As well, we'll be the senior diplomat. No hit on age or anything here. It's just you've been at this for a couple of days now. Mm-hmm. So how are we going to look to you? I mean, as that senior diplomat within that to help those new folks transition?
Well, I guess the approach that I have is the same as I do with anyone else I'm meeting, is I like to do a lot of listening first to kind of get a read as to, well, do you have something in mind? Is there something that you're passionate about that the city of Oskaloosa is either not doing well or is doing fine and you want to keep it going? And so there's going to be some of that sort of a just listening sort of approach that I'll take at the start. If somebody says, okay, I want to change something, then that's where I see myself and the senior members of the council being able to say, okay, let's talk about that a little bit. That here's how we got to where we are. What is it you've got in mind? And so Again, it's a mutual respect, mutual listening approach that I like to take.
So I had the opportunity to host you and the supervisor here in the office, and we had an opportunity at Eggs and Issues to talk about the positive things. Everybody understands that there's a negative undertow that's been going on between the county and the city. How do we continue, or do we continue, particularly after an upcoming decision, to mend those fences and find a way to continue working together, maybe in a better way or a less adversarial way?
Well, I've worked with a number of county supervisors over the years, and what I've learned is there hasn't been a one that I totally agreed with. And the art of politics, especially in small town, is to compartmentalize the things that you don't agree on. You don't let it carry over to the point that you dislike the individual. You just understand where they're coming from and work within. As far as the county is concerned, there are a number of things where Oskaloosa and the county share a mutual interest. And so as far as the bypasses going around Oskaloosa to get rid of the truck traffic in town, that's something we both agree on that should be pursued. Mm-hmm. And the county is in a position where they have to do most of the heavy lifting. The majority of the bypass to the southeast is outside of the city of Oskaloosa. We'll contribute as we see necessary to make that project go, but it's primarily them doing it. And so I guess I'm thinking, well, that's a positive. And so there's one area that we can have some agreement. When it comes to other areas that the county and the city can cooperate on, I like to start from a blank slate and say, well, I know we have some disagreements on the airport, for example, or we're not so sure about some of your priorities on the roads that you're developing outside of the city of Oskaloosa. Leave those aside. Let's focus on what we can work on and do together.
So I always ask candidates, particularly mayors, so if you were king for a day, not just mayor, but king for a day, and you had your scepter and you were able to say, I want this done, what would those be?
We're already getting a lot of it done. So the things that I look for is I want to have better housing. I want to have more of it, and I want it to be affordable. I want to have more downtown housing as well, and I would love to see more of that developed out. Those are the primary concerns. The rest of it is pretty well taking care of itself as we develop. Just using the council and the mayor, being able to work with the council to develop those priorities and make them happen.
But you're king. You don't have to work with them. So what would those be?
In politics, you learn that every victory has the day after.
Okay.
And so no matter what you do, there's always the day after. And if you were to do something to ram it through and then perhaps not in agreement with those around you, you live for that day and a little bit of misery that you earn.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to worry about this. You're king. So what would those be? I mean, Dave's always the consummate diplomat. That's one of those great things. But you don't have to worry about that. So what would it be?
I can't think of anything offhand.
Okay.
I would love to significantly, I would love to see the population of Oskaloosa grow. How that happens, it would be because people wanted to move to town and they had the ability. And so that's what I would hope for more than anything else, is just to enrich the town with more of the population.
All right. Well, I was trying to push you out of that comfort zone a little bit. So when it kind of keyholes into, we talked about your vision, what you could do. Is there anything else that you would add to your vision of Oskaloosa in 10 years from now?
Yeah. Well, I think about the challenges that are going on with the school system right now. They have a superintendent that they'll be looking for, as I understand it. And so they have, in my opinion, a golden opportunity to strengthen themselves as well. That with a strong school system, I think that works as a recruiter to bring people to town. And so that's an area that I hope that the city of Oskaloosa can be cooperative with the school and make things improve better over the next 10 years.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. Have I missed anything, Mr. Mayor, that we probably should have talked about?
Offhand, no. That the things that are happening in the very near future have to do with the comprehensive plan. And it is a very long process to go through. but it does set the foundation and tone of the next couple of decades. It's important work that you have to grind through. And I guess that's where I see the majority of my effort being in the next couple of years, is just putting things on a good trajectory.
Well, and I have a pretty good understanding, and you have a pretty good understanding of what comprehensive plan. But maybe I should ask you a little bit more in depth as to what a comprehensive plan is, and we'll make the long answers as short and compact as possible.
I wish I had brought a prop, because the comprehensive plan is about this thick, and it has in it all sorts of dreams, aspirations, but then also it gets into the setting the tone for, well, what's the zoning going to be? What are the streets going to look like? So along A Avenue, if a business develops along there, are we going to allow more driveways or less? All of those decisions go into the plan. What about how high should the signs be? How well lit should they be? Bright signs can be a distraction to a driver, and so and higher up can be a distraction as well. So all of those types of decisions get made with the comprehensive plan. And so long story short, it's what your vision is for the coming next 10 to 20 years until the next comprehensive plan gets written.
I was going to say, if you have a vision of a person that's watching or what have you, send Mr. Mayor an email and let him know.
Absolutely. And so the city website has the ability for me to be able to send an email directly from there. So OskaloosaIowa.org, get on there, and there's the opportunity to talk to all the city council members as well as me.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, and we will look forward to seeing you at the, by the time everybody sees this, it'll have happened, but we'll see you Wednesday night then.
That sounds real good. I look forward to it, Ken.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.